to the Success Ascent. My name is Pat Mancuso, the creator and host of our show. Today we welcome Erin Ley. Erin is a thought leader, a coach, an entrepreneur, and also an author. In our episode today, she shared a number of important points for us to consider. She talked about doubt is a dream crusher, and she's got a concept that she shares talking about vision and decision. She said, who are you internally? You have to really know that answer in order to create your vision. She also talked about holding yourself accountable and celebrating life, and you have a life worth celebrating. I know you're going to enjoy the episode, so on to the ascent. Welcome to the Success Ascent. My name is Pat Mancuso, and I am the host of our show. On the Success Ascent, we interview entrepreneurs, thought leaders, business owners, authors, and we get their perspective on their entrepreneurial journey. And today I am excited to welcome Erin Ley. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Erin before we get started. Erin is an award-winning speaker, best-selling author, business empowerment coach, and host of Life on Track, the TV show. For over 30 years, Erin has shown tens of thousands of business leaders globally how to become victorious by being focused, fearless, and excited. Her specialty is creating and fostering corporate cultures of love and respect with drive, purpose, productivity, and profits. And oh, by the way, you do need profits to keep a business going. Erin's mission in life is to introduce the idea of love in the workplace and encourage team building, loyalty, and leadership. And boy, do we need more leadership today. After overcoming a terminal cancer diagnosis at age 25, Erin has taken her personal survival journey to create a step-by-step process for realizing true peace of mind, synergy, and success. So Erin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
We're excited to have you. Now, Erin, I already prepped you for this. We always, like at the beginning, we say, okay, that was Erin on paper. That's what we want to say about Erin. Tell us something about Erin, maybe that you've never shared before, or that somebody that follows you might not know about you.
Okay. And it's funny because when you said that, when you were prepping me and you asked me, I'm like an open book. Like I just kind of like everybody knows everything about me. I don't really keep anything close to the vest. And I'm thinking, and I'm like, you know what? The one thing that I think people don't know about me is that with coaching, with the pandemic, I started coaching from the car because I have 3 kids.
Oh my gosh.
There you go. I call myself coach from the car.
Oh,
so
wow.
Because they're home from school during the pandemic and now 2 of them are in college and everything is homeschooled.
Sure.
So that's one thing that I can think of that most people wouldn't know.
Okay, so let's go there. Stay there for just a second. So how long did you have to do that for?
Oh, I'm still doing it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so like a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, and it depends on what I'm speaking about with my clients because we talk about anything and everything.
What is the most silly thing that's happened in that process?
Coaching from the car?
Yes.
Oh my God. I learned that when your phone is plugged into the car speakerphone, people outside the car can hear you. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that, yeah.
I didn't know that. I learned that. So I'd say that was probably, like I said, we talk about anything and everything.
Sure.
And I started coaching from the car because, my kids are 18 and my boys are going to be 21 and 25 this year.
Okay.
There's certain things that they still don't want to hear mom talking about, know? But you need to still help everybody just elevate, in their business and at home. So that's what most people don't know.
Yeah, that's the power of the car speaker of today.
I learned that the hard way.
So Erin, let's start with, I always like to ask, where did your entrepreneurial journey start? Like, was there a time in the past or a book or a mentor or, really what got yourself excited about the entrepreneurial journey?
That's a great question. It's a great question, Pat. And it's funny because I've had to reflect on that question a number of times. And I keep going back to high school. Like one of my neighbors in high school, she was selling the early 80s, these satin pouches and like little pocketbooks, little satin pouches that went across for women, for girls. And so I bought one and all the girls at the high school loved it. And they were like, oh, can you get me one? Can you get me? And I did. And then all of a sudden, like there were a lot of girls that wanted it. So I was buying in bulk from my neighbor at a certain price. And I just like upped it 50 cents. So then I upped it $1,
I love it.
And that's how it started. But then I went on to work on Wall Street, after college. And I got started as a sales assistant and then got fully registered with the Series 7, 63, the insurance license. And so I went down the corporate into the corporate world, and then I got sick with the cancer, so that took me out of the Wall Street game.
Sure.
But it was one of the biggest blessings of my life, for many reasons. We'll get into that during the interview. But that's when I tapped back into the entrepreneurial spirit, and I started writing books. I wrote a book, The Will to Live, to help cancer patients, which went on to help people that were just going through any shipwreck type situation. That was a surprise to me.
Oh, sure.
And yeah, so that's how it started. And then I've just had the entrepreneurial bug for the rest of my life. I love it. I couldn't imagine working for somebody.
Yeah, like I don't want a boss, right? Like,
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Or
Well, you know what's that?
When they say look busy, even if you're not busy, look, I'm like, give me your shoes to shine, because I can't look busy if I'm not, like, I can't.
Yeah. Well, what I love what you said is you didn't create the product. You just saw an opportunity to sell the product, and that's where you leverage the revenue there. So that's pretty cool. So as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, what ceilings have you hit in your journey? Like what challenges, what obstacles have you hit, and how did you break through them?
Another great question. So, well, in the beginning, I was married. I was with my ex-husband for 22 years. So ceilings I hit along the way were just as a stay-at-home mom, with my ex-husband. He was the breadwinner, if you will. And, what I was doing, coaching and writing books and book signings and all that kind of stuff, even the radio show, was just all to make the world a better place. And whatever income at that point, great, but it wasn't something that was counted on.
Sure.
And so the glass ceiling there was really more of a mindset ceiling. You know what I mean? Like more than, and that's a whole story in and of itself. After the divorce, it opened up so many, another blessing in disguise. It opened up so many avenues and so many doors for me that, again, that entrepreneurial bug just kicked in. And I'd say the main glass ceiling that I hit was the M word, millionaire, million. And at first I was thinking like, okay, working to six figures, like that's totally doable. Multiple six figures is totally doable. But whenever I heard the word, again, mindset, whenever I heard the word million, like making $1 million, I go, whoa, even though I grew up around it and I was exposed to it, it wasn't like a foreign concept. For me, there was a block. There was a mental ceiling. There was a block, and I had to break through that, and you have to just slowly stretch yourself, otherwise it's like trying to get the ocean into a wine bottle, like you're not going to be able to maintain that. But that was another mental ceiling, that I had to work through to break through.
So in your journey of being an entrepreneur, what has surprised you the most?
Another great question. There's so many surprises as an entrepreneur. There's so many surprises. I guess the biggest surprise is to see so many people living in self-doubt. So many.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur and wanting to help other entrepreneurs, just doubt is a dream crusher.
Yeah.
It's just, and you think everybody's like you, like, oh, you see it and you want to break through it and you want to do the personal development work to break through it.
Right.
But it was shocking how many people walking the planet are literally living in self-doubt, or just believing somebody else, and taking on their beliefs as if it's their own and living that out. So I'd say that was the biggest.
Okay. So if you were talking to a 20-year-old version of yourself now, what would you say to them? Like, what would you share with them? What maybe mistakes did you make and do that or make that mistake? What would you share? I
would share, first of all, I'd pat her on the back and say, good job, that you stopped diving off the bar into strangers' arms. We're not doing that anymore. Good girl.
We won't go into that, Erin. I'm not sure where that would take us. Yeah.
It was all good. It was all in fun. It was very pure. It was just fun. It was friends. So, but I would say, again, I guess based on the self-doubt, I was literally walking through this planet, not knowing anything about the internal world.
Right.
Like I said earlier, I was working on Wall Street and everything was about the outer world. The outer world was going to tell me how pretty I was, how smart I was, how successful I was going to be. I had no idea that there was a whole inner world and that's all I needed to count on. And I'd say going back to my 20-year-old self, I would want her to know that a lot sooner. I had to wait till I was 25.
Okay.
And a cancer diagnosis to find that out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it makes perfect sense. So then let me ask you one other question, and then we're going to shift gears. So if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
If I had to do which part? The
Yeah,
entrepreneur?
just your journey so far. Like if you could start it all over again, what would you do differently?
Oh my God. Another great question. I would just be lit up from the beginning,
Okay.
instead of like holding myself back and just, fitting this role and that role. And I would incorporate like what I'm doing now.
Okay.
And I love, like when I get out of bed in the morning, I'm literally excited. I'm lit up about the day. Like I love doing what I'm doing.
Okay.
And I held that back because it's, which of course, like you're the mom first, you're the wife first, you take care of all those roles. But I could have incorporated, I don't like the coulda, shoulda, woulda kind of thing, but yeah, I could have incorporated what I'm feeling now and doing now back then. Absolutely.
So then it leads me to a question that will likely segue us. Why do you think people struggle to maybe not discover it or not discover it sooner?
I just think they don't know. Like I just didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't have, we didn't talk about it in my home. And my father's a PhD in philosophy. Like we had deep conversations,
Sure.
but it wasn't, we talked about faith and we talked about courage and stuff like that. But I mean, if I spoke about universal law, I'm the Irish Catholic also, the Irish Catholic. So, it just wasn't talked about. So I think most people I didn't know.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes. And I think that's what the thing is. I think people these days are learning because it's spoken about more. Meditation, visualization, all of this is now, it's the norm. Years ago, if you spoke about meditating, they just pictured you like a flower child. And, go ahead.
Well, it's interesting because, you always, I ask, I'm kind of hearing your story and I'm going, okay, so if you wouldn't have been exposed to the neighbor who was selling those things, and maybe you didn't have the health journey, if you may, that you had, you might be in a different place, right? I mean, I think it's always about there's a person or, in all the episodes I've done, many times it goes back to a person. Sometimes it's a family member and other times it's, an external person. So it's just, I always look like you and say, okay, how can you inspire more people? How can you open up, this opportunity for more people? So let's transition. So let's first talk about, from your perspective, we got a lot of it. Well, I'm going to say from my perspective, and then I'll apply the question to you. So I think there's a lot of challenges right now. I think we've gone through a period of time where we've caused reflection, we've caused division, we've caused a lot of things, right? So I'll put all of those things on top of the word adversity. What kind of growth happens in adversity? I mean, I know that there's going to be good things and there are good things coming out of this from your perspective.
My God, I love this question. There's so much good that comes out of adversity, that comes out of pain. So many, and I'm speaking from experience, and I started coaching in the 90s because the doctors at Sloan Kettering started having their patients call me at home. I defied the odds every time they said that I was going to die.
Sure.
I lived, when they swore, because I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoblastic lymphoma in 1991. Wow. Very few people lived at that diagnosis. And they said if the cancer didn't kill me, the protocol probably would. And because it was just an egregious 2.5 years. But there's so much growth in pain. There's so much growth in adversity. That's where all the growth happens. We don't do our biggest and best growth when we're on the mountain peak, when we're living our best life. It's like we're actually experiencing our best life based on the growth and the lessons learned in the valley. So that's where it all happens. So I want people as they're going through, whether it's personal or professional, the growth, embrace it. Acknowledge it and embrace it and celebrate it. It may not seem like something to celebrate at the time, but no, down the line, this will in fact benefit you. As long as you don't quit, as long as you don't throw in the towel, that time period in the valley will always benefit you because the next mountain peak is always higher.
Makes sense. Yeah. So what would you, like if somebody were in that situation right now, we're struggling with a difficult situation, like what would be one or two bits of advice, counseling, coaching, action items that you might give them to help them start moving in the right direction?
Okay. The biggest thing, I'm all about vision and decision. My whole thing is vision and decision. Create a crystal clear vision for your life, whether it's personal or professional.
Okay.
Crystal clear.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I was just going to say, like when I was at Sloan and there was worst case scenario constantly, I wrote down pen to paper. There's a whole psychology behind the whole pen to paper thing.
Right.
Pen to paper, write down exactly what you want. It's like ordering DoorDash. I wouldn't say, I just want a meat, a starch, and a vegetable, right? DoorDash would be like, well, what kind of meat?
Right.
And I wouldn't say I want a steak. I would have to say, I want a steak, medium rare, hold the salt, whatever, but crystal clear. Same thing has to go for your vision. What do you want regarding health? What do you want regarding wealth? What do you want regarding relationships and spirituality?
Right.
Like break these down, family, friends, fun, break it down.
Okay.
And then within each category, get really, really clear. Then the most important part, after you write it down in crystal clear, bring it alive. Like look at it, read it, and then visualize. This is so powerful, so powerful. Visualize it.
Okay.
Right? Utilizing all of your senses, including the sixth sense of intuition, smell the food on the table, hear the sound of the music, the feel of the hugs and the love, like bring it alive. The people in the room, the vibrant colors, bring it all alive, including the sixth sense of intuition, and have the feeling as if it's happening right now.
Okay.
That's so powerful because that's how you become like a magnet. And then you attract to you, the whole law of attraction, but there's a whole bunch of law of attraction is just this big, with regard to how powerful we are. There's the law of reciprocity, what you give, you get back. There's a whole
Yep.
thing. But to keep it simple, create that crystal clear vision, bring it alive with your five senses and the sixth sense of intuition, and have the feeling as if it's happening right now so that you become like a magnet and you attract to you the people, places, and things that will make your vision a reality, because every decision you make throughout the day will be in line with that vision. You won't be all over the place. Yeah, it won't be wonky anymore.
So what's the decision part?
That's what I'm saying. The decisions you make throughout the day will be in line with that vision. When people don't have a roadmap of where they want to go, they're getting lost. They're making decisions just like in the moment, spontaneous decisions, and they're off track. But when you have a crystal clear vision, you will make decisions that are in line. You can't not, because you know exactly where you want to be. So
it makes sense.
Yes.
It makes perfect sense.
Towards your destiny.
So this can be an easy one for you. So why do we have to have accountability?
Well, I mean, accountability is huge for anybody. We're human beings, right? So when you have an accountability partner, it keeps you moving forward. Like I belong to a mastermind. My friend Eric Swanson has Habitude Warrior Mastermind. They hold me accountable. We hold each other accountable. Having an accountability partner to go to the gym, it just strengthens the decisions that you make, moving you forward. The accountability partner, it just keeps you, again, it keeps you moving forward, onward and upward. We'll move forward by ourselves. There's a what is it? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with a team. Yeah. And the accountability partner helps you go far,
So then I hear people say all the time, I'm sure you've heard them say this, well, I just need to hold myself accountable. I don't need anybody else to hold me accountable.
Well, you absolutely have to hold yourself accountable and keep your side of the road clean. You definitely want to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah. But people struggle with that, right?
Yeah. So when you point the finger at somebody else, there's three fingers pointing back at you.
Sure.
You always want to hold yourself accountable. I'm not saying that you don't want to hold yourself accountable. Having an accountability partner is in addition to you. It's support. Who on the planet can't use support, especially during a pandemic?
Yeah.
When there's so much chaos and confusion and isolation, who couldn't use support?
Sure.
So the accountability partner, it just strengthens everything else that you have going on.
So you've got this great project you're working on, and so let's talk about that a little bit. So lifeontrack.tv. What the heck is lifeontrack.tv about?
I'm so excited, Pat. So excited. So I told you offline that I hosted summits, for years. I did a radio show on Blog Talk Radio years ago. And, friends of mine said, you need to start a TV show because the Summit Life on Track even got to be so big. People were calling me at home. I went in on Life on Track. I went in on Life on Track. I was like, I don't have enough time in the day.
I love it.
So I said, yeah. So a friend of mine introduced me to his friend, and now I'm hosting Life on Track TV through In the Limelight Media. And I'm just so excited about this. I'm utilizing the principles in my book. I'm going to shameless plug here in my book, WORKLUV, and also the 13 steps in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. I'm utilizing the concepts, those principles, the principle of love in WORKLUV and the principles in Think and Grow Rich. I'm also a contributing author, and we have a book series based on that called The 13 Steps to Riches, based on Napoleon Hill's 13 steps. It's so cool. It's so cool. So it's all about literally not going back on track. It's about getting on the track that you were born into this world to be on, personally and professionally. Because when you're on track, things become easier. Things become smoother. Life gets to be fun. There's no struggle because you're in that flow of life. So that's
perfect sense.
That's what it's about.
So do you think a lot of people right now are struggling what that track is for them based upon the last 2 years evaluating? Yeah. That's my thought. Well, I love the concept of the show. And so it's like .tv, but it's in today's world, right? It's online. I love it. I love it. So, so let's shift gears a little bit. What's the best advice that you've ever been given that hopefully you followed, and what did you learn?
Well, it was what I said earlier about creating a vision for my life. That was the biggest and best advice, and to look inward. When I was told to look inward, I didn't even know what that meant. I like look inward. There's like a skeleton and, like organs. I had no idea what looking inward. I knew about faith, but I didn't really understand the whole look inward. So look inward and create a vision for my life were two of the most powerful tips that I could have been given. I was working on Wall Street before this advice was given to me. And I was so superficial without realizing it. I loved my shoes. I loved my Chanel bag and my house out in the Hamptons with like 20 of my friends. And we had a great time, but it was so outer world based, so that's the best advice.
Is that like a New York thing, or is it just a Wall Street thing?
What?
The shoes, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We talked about the New York before. So what's the worst advice that you've ever been given and that hopefully you didn't follow? However, if you did, what did you learn?
Again, twofold. Because I said so. And the other one is because they're doing it. Just do this because everybody else is doing it. And it seems to be the right thing to do. And again, like what I said, because I said so, just because somebody says so, does not make it okay. And doesn't make it a fact. And again, I don't care who you are on this planet.
Right.
I don't care who you are, the biggest world leaders and from the janitor to the whoever it is, everybody's got their own perspective and everybody's got their own point of view with regard to what the greatest thing to do is. We need to go inward. We need to go inward, and we have to listen to our own internal voice. Our soul basically is speaking to us through feelings.
Sure.
How do you feel about, what they're saying? How do you feel about it? Do you feel like it's, does it feel good to you? But that's what I want people to do. Start just becoming aware, because just because somebody said, because I said so, or, because everybody else is doing it, worst advice.
Right.
Worst advice.
Right.
Go inward and you figure it out. Become an independent thinker.
So let me ask you one other question, and I haven't prepared you for this, so I'm just putting that out there. So, like, we're coming out of the crazy times that we've been in, right? And I don't know that things are ever going to go back to normal, because I'm not sure you could ever define what normal is at any given moment or any given second. However, we have a lot of people who are at different places in their lives, different places in their journey. Maybe they used to go to the office to work. Now they don't. Maybe they don't work for a company anymore. What advice, like what would be just one bit of advice that you'd give to people right now?
I would say just embrace where you are right now. Okay. I wouldn't go back to any kind of, like what you said, to the norm, what was normal. I mean, really, was anything really normal? There was always chaos and confusion before the pandemic even.
Sure.
I remember in the 70s, the late 70s, it was the early 80s when things just started to go well again here in the country and interest rates went down and the hostages were released and like all these great things were happening. There was really no terrible news. So they focused on UFO probings. Like they were like, who was kidnapped in UFOs and probings?
Yeah.
Like always there was never really like that norm and that calm. The pandemic is just a new heightened kind of a fear thing that's going. It's real, and we need to pay very close attention to it. But we don't need to go back to anything. The best advice I would say is just embrace the present moment.
Okay.
Embrace it. Where you are. This is your starting point today, right now. All we have is the present moment. It's a gift. It's all we have. It's the only place that we can create from. We can't create from the past. We cannot create from the future. The only place we can create anything from, and you want to create beautiful things in this world. You want to contribute beautiful things to this world. But the only way you can do that is by embracing the now, where you are right now, no matter how much you have, no matter how little you perceive yourself to have, no matter what it is, embrace it. Be grateful for every little thing. And then you can start creating from here. And you'd be surprised that when you do that, how much more comes to you and how much more powerful and fun life becomes.
It makes total sense. Okay, so Erin, I'm going to do a little PSA, then I'm going to ask you for a final thought to take us out. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening, for your support. You can go to www.thesuccessascent.com and you can you can subscribe there. Yep, that's what happens when you multitask. You can subscribe to us there, and also at any of one of your favorite podcast sources. Sign up, leave us a rating, leave us some feedback. We just love your support and why we do this, and it's just really important to us to let us know we're on the right track. Let us know that you're getting feedback and valuable value from us. So Erin, take us out. What's your final thought? I'm going to run your website as you're sharing that so people can go get the information on what the great stuff you're doing.
My final thought is to say thank you to you, Pat. The work that you're doing and the work that you're bringing into this world is beautiful. It's beautiful. And you're changing lives and you're making a huge impact. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for having me on here today. It's been a pleasure being with all of you. And I want to leave the final thought also with, I say this all the time, celebrate life and you'll have a life worth celebrating. There you go.
Huh. Boy, that's pretty simple. That should go on a coffee mug.
Good idea.
So simple.
Good
and
idea.
So powerful. So powerful. Well, Erin, thanks so much for being with us today and your time. Wish you the best on the show. I mean, it's not new because you've done it before. It's just a different format. And congratulations on your book. And I know that people will get value when they reach out to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat.
My pleasure. And as I leave the end of every show to everyone, be happy, be healthy, be safe until we talk again. Take care. Thank you for joining us on The Ascent today. You can find us at any of your favorite podcast sources. You can also subscribe to get updates and additional pieces of value that we send out at www.thesuccessascent.com. Thanks so much for your support. Please leave us a review. Have an amazing day. Take care.